Hi guys and welcome back. This is part 19 of my Unreal Engine 5 multiplayer FPS course. If you guys haven't checked out the previous parts, make sure you guys do. Till now we have finished the Steam functionality as well as we have started with the weapon as well as pickup systems. In this part we will attempt to finish the pickup system as much as possible. And yeah guys, if you guys have any questions or suggestions, make sure you guys do leave those on my Discord server. Link to that will be down in the video description. So let's begin. So in order to actually interact with our pickups, we are going to be using an interface. So head into uh, your actual content folder and head into blueprints, create a new folder and we'll call this one interfaces. So under interfaces, we are going to create a new blueprint interface and this one is going to be called BPI underscore pickup. Open it up. And over here the first function is simply going to be pickup, and this is probably the only function that we will have here as of now. So head into inputs, and this one is going to be an object reference to the character. You'll understand why in a bit. So let this be bp underscore character. Compile that, save that, and you should be good to go. Now head into your pickup files. So go to blueprints, so the place where you had pickups. So let's actually create another one as well. So I think it was called cpp pickup. So we need this one for other pickup items other than weapons and stuff. So bp underscore pickup. Oops. And for a weapon pickup as well, we'll be implementing the interface. So open up the full blueprint editor, go to class settings, and under implemented interfaces, just add in BPI pickup. Alright, do the same thing for the pickup as well. So head back at here, BP underscore pickup, and under class settings, you can implement the interface. So you should find BPI underscore pickup. Now the way we'll be handling it is by defining the interface functions in each one of these pickup classes. Now for a weapon pickup, it's going to be standard, so we can go ahead and implement it. But just to test, let's actually head back into our character, blueprints, character, and under BP character, let's actually set up our interact functionality. So go to your project settings, head into input, and under your action mappings, we need to add in an interact. So add in interact, and the default key for interact, let's say it's going to be F on the keyboard. Now head back. Now you should be able to get event interact. So if you type in interact, you should get an action event called interact. So over here, what we can do is we can get overlapping actors, and for the class filter we can put in our pickup class. So we could just simply put in our CPP pickup because that will include all of our pickup classes. That is BP pickup as well as BP weapon pickup. All of those will be included under CPP pickup, because if you notice, CPP underscore pickup was the lowest in our inheritance hierarchy, so that's the reason. Now what we can do is, first of all, we can check if there is an element here. So what you can do is can get a copy of index 0 and check if it is valid, and if it is valid, what we can do is, in to the same object, what we can do is we can call our pickup interface, and for the character we are going to get the reference to self. Now we could put all of this into a single function just to keep things a bit clean. So we can collapse this into a single function and call this one pickup. And let's just add in a sequence node. So in case we want to add any other functionality for interact, so we could check for all of those. So inside pickup we have all the logic that we require. And just in case it's not valid, we are just going to print a string. Let's say no pickup nearby. Alright. Now I have opened up map 1, the map which we had created in the previous parts. So just go ahead and press play. If you hit F, you should get no pickup nearby as a string printed on your screen. So that should be about it for now. Now one problem that you would have immediately noticed is that there is no way to know whether you have overlapped the pickup because there is no collision component. So we are going to add one. So what you can do is first of all add in a sphere component. So add in components slash sphere component dot h, and this one's supposed to be capital, and also add in static mesh component dot h. So hash include, so components slash static mesh component dot h. Now scroll a little down and we are going to add in two U properties. So the first one is going to be a U property with the edit anywhere attribute, and this one is going to be called collision component, and this one is going to be of type uSphere component. So uSphere component, and it's going to be a pointer type. And in the next line we are going to add in another U property, so U property, and this one is going to be edit anywhere as well, and it's going to be a static mesh component, so use static mesh component, and this one we will simply be calling it as root. Alright, so now inside your cpp pickup.cpp, I want you guys to paste in these 4 lines so that we add in the components. This is just a one-time procedure, so that's the reason I just asked you guys to copy it over, and now you should be able to build your solution. Okay guys, so our pickup blueprints are set up. Now just to display the widget on the player screen, we will have another interface. So this one is going to be bpi underscore character, so we'll call this one bpi underscore character. Now this is not specific to the pickup system. We'll be using this one for all the interface functions related to the character. So the first one is going to be on pickup overlap, and the next one is going to be on pickup end overlap. Now this is similar to your begin and end overlap in your normal actor blueprints, except we'll be using this in a specific use case, so you'll understand what I actually mean. Now head into your character and we can go ahead and implement the interface. Head into class settings. I guess by this point you guys are pretty well versed on how to implement interfaces. Now you should get an option to implement the events, so you can implement the event here, and you can implement this event as well. We will get back to this. Now when you overlap the pickups, now what we want to do is we actually want to send a message to the character itself in order to actually display a widget. So we can head into BP pickup, and what we can do is on actor begin overlap over here. First of all, we need to check if it is the server. Any checks that we do actually in a multiplayer game, any checks that we have will always be on the server. Just bear in mind. Now let me just explain this part a little better. So when you overlap this pickup object, now event on actor begin overlap will also be called on all the clients as well. However, we are only worried about the event that gets called on the server, so that we can keep everything in sync. So if you guys still didn't quite get it, try it without the if check. You'll understand what I'm talking about. You'll have the event occurring multiple times, and in some cases the event won't function as expected. So anyways, over here we can call on pickup, I forgot what that was called, on pickup overlap, and again actor end overlap. So when the character leaves the pickup, what we can do is we can again run an event on the server. So this one is going to be end overlap, so end overlap, so on pickup end overlap. So we can just have a print string to just check with our logic. So head into BP character and we can just print. Now the thing I want you guys to notice mainly is where the print is being called. So it will always be on the server if you would notice. So let's open up map 1. So content maps map 1, and if I go ahead and press play, okay, we don't have a pickup object here, so let's add one in. So pickup, so BP underscore pickup. So let's just scale it up so that it'll be easy for us. Now let's actually play this as a client. So if we play it as a client, if you notice the print string, it is called on the server. Now why is this, you may ask? That is because we had run the is server check. So what this basically did is basically told us to only run this interface on the server. That's basically all we did. If we actually print a string over here as well, so we could type in client, we would actually get one, because as you see on the client we get client as well. So just to avoid that, we actually did it. Now I guess that's enough explanation for that. Now we can go ahead and create a widget just to show the players when they overlap a pickup. So head into UI, and what we can do is create a new folder and call this one pickup. And over here what we can do is we can create a new widget blueprint, and this one is just going to be user widget, and we are going to be naming this BP underscore pickup widget. Maybe you could be a bit more descriptive with that. Now over here we'll just add in a canvas panel. It's not necessarily required. You could just add a border directly and you could align it properly and stuff. I'll just do it this way. So let's just make it of a reasonable size, make it dark as usual, and inside of this we'll have a horizontal box, and we'll have some text as well, and we'll have one more, and I guess that's pretty much it if I'm not wrong. And we'll just set the padding to be 0, and we'll set these two to fill, and this one is going to take up majority of the space, let's say 3.5, and this one is just going to be our interact key. Now I'll show you guys how to actually get the key here as well, and maybe we could wrap this with a border, or okay, let's just wrap it with a border. So wrap with border, so we have a proper background, so 0 padding. And what we could do for this is under our color and opacity, no, we are under text actually. So for the border we'll set this one to fill, and what we can do is under brush color we can make this somewhat gray or something, and over here we'll make this one center line, and we'll reduce the size of this to let's say 17 or something. So should get font size, so we'll make this one light and we'll make this 17, and we'll center align this one as well, and to the left we'll have a little bit of padding so that it does not look cluttered up. Now we need to get the binding, so the way we'll be doing this is we'll be getting our input settings, so get input settings, and we'll get action mapping by name. So get action mapping by name, and the action name is going to be interact. Now just in case you guys didn't get what I did here, so go to your project settings, under input you see the interact action mapping. This is what we refer to over here. Now obviously there is only one. Obviously if you have controllers you might have to do a little bit of if checks and maybe a for loop or something, but in our case, since we only have the F key on the keyboard or whatever the user configures, so we'll be just using that, and we are going to break the struct apart, and we have action name and things like that. What we are interested in is the keys display name. So get the key display name, and we can set the text of this text box here. So we can make this one a variable, or rather this one I should say, because this is the interact key. So we'll just set it to something else just to ensure that it's actually working. So let's just set this to X. Now over here for the text block, so this one was text block 0. So get text block 0, and we are going to set the text here. So set text, and the text is going to be as is. Now we could just test out the logic for this. Let's just test out everything together. And now for this text, what we can do is we can grab it as a variable. So what we can do is we can type in pickup name, and this one's going to be a string of course, and we can have quantity, and this one is going to be an integer. Now we can use a format text node, so format text, and we could copy over a set text node here, and this one is going to be for text block, the other one, and plug this in. Now for the format, open your squiggly brackets, and the first one is going to be the name of course, and maybe give a space, and open close squiggly brackets again, and this one is going to be quantity. So that's about it. But if the quantity is 0, we don't really want it to show the quantity, so we could do a little bit of logic here. I'll show you guys what I mean. So the name is going to always be there, and for the quantity, since this is an integer, what we can do is we can select, or rather we can do select string. So select string, and we are going to get quantity, and we are going to check if it is greater than 1. So int greater than 1. So if the quantity is greater than 1, only then we would want to show the quantity. So we'll just drag in an append here, open brackets, grab in the quantity, and we can close the brackets. Or otherwise we are just going to leave it as is. So the quantity is going to go in as shown. So this logic should in theory work. Now head back into your BP character, and we can go ahead and create our widgets, which is pretty straightforward. So on this event we want to create the widget on the owning client of course, so create a custom event, and we'll call this one create pickup widget, and this one is going to be running on the owning client. You don't need to make it reliable. It's not going to break the game or anything if it misses sometime, so no need to make it reliable. So what we can do is, first of all, we can go ahead and create our widget. So create widget, oops, that will be an infinite loop. So widget, user interface, create widget, and this one is going to be BP pickup widget, and we forgot to expose these variables on spawn, so make it instance editable and expose them on spawn. Do the same for these two variables as well. So that should be good. And now if we go ahead and refresh all nodes, we should be able to find this, and we want to promote this to a variable, and we can add it to the viewport. Now this seems good. but we only want to create this pickup widget if it is the actual object that will be picked up. So if you remember, we had some pickup logic, I believe. Not really sure where we had it, so guess it was here. Yeah. So over here, we checked for all the pickups. We just checked all the overlapping actors, and what we are doing is we are only picking up the first object in this array. So what we'll do is, instead of actually refreshing the widget each time, we'll change it to the first pickup object. And for this we can again have an interface so that we can get our pickup name and stuff. So head into your interfaces section, BPI pickup, and what we can do, and we can call this one get name and quantity. Quantity is something which I believe we did not set up, and I will show you guys how to set it up a bit later on. Now for the outputs, we are going to be having name, and this one is going to be a string, and this one is going to be an integer, and this one is going to be quantity. Alright, now head into BP pickup, head into this function, and for the name we can just get the pickup name. So get the pickup name, and we'll look into quantity a bit later on. So what you want to do is you want to get name and quantity, and you want to plug this straight in. But what if this widget is already valid? So is valid, so we can grab it from the object itself. So we can get the pickup widget and check if it is valid. If it is valid, we want to remove the widget. So we can copy it over. So type in remove from parent, and we can also invalidate the reference, but that's not really required since we will overwrite it again. And if it's not valid, we can directly go ahead and create the widget. So that should be good. And over here we can call our create pickup widget, and now it should already work. So let's just give a name to our pickup. So pickup, so BP underscore pickup. I think that's what we had added over here. So let's actually just give it a name. So head into class defaults and pickup name, let's say let's just call this one pickup itself, or let's just call it pickup base. Now it should take a while, but when you overlap, you should find that it says F and pickup base. So that's about right, but now you'd notice the problem that the widget is not going anywhere. Now we want to be able to remove the widget as well. So we can put all of this under a comment. So create pickup widget, and this one let that be as is. And on end overlap, what we can do is we can again check if it's valid, and if it is valid, we can just remove from parent, and we can invalidate it as well. So remove from parent, and we can go ahead and invalidate this as well. So alt drag it, otherwise we don't really need to do anything. Now end overlap, now technically it should work, I guess. And if we go back, it's not really going anywhere. Let's debug that. So oh, it's a simple mistake. We are calling this on the interface. That's wrong. We need to call this on the client, because the widget is created on the client, so obviously this object will not be valid on the server. So create a custom event, and we'll call this one remove pickup widget. Of course you could add in fancy animations and stuff, that's totally up to you. Now drag this in, make this one run on owning client, and make sure this is reliable, because it's totally fine if the widget is not created, but if a widget is created and is like stuck on the screen, that would not be acceptable. So make sure this is set to reliable. And from here you can call remove pickup widget. So that should be good. Now as you can see, this works as expected.